What happens when we dream? That's the question for today. Welcome everyone to my channel. I do educational videos on a number of different topics. Right now we're kind of going through a unit of videos on a tree of life. And you can see that this is a diagram. It's got 10 different circles here, which are called spheres. Really, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then there's an abyss right here. And then there is a 0 above the tree. So there are a total of 12 different aspects there. And these are really a map of our faculties of consciousness. Or you might want to call them our, capabilities of consciousness, our aspects of consciousness. So we really have, according to this model, 12 different aspects of consciousness. And you can kind of delineate them as the 10th sphere being our survival, our animal consciousness, our reptilian heritage, and this is our survival, fight or flight. It's the state of our body. This is the law of the jungle. Okay, then at the 9th sphere, we have our domestic consciousness. This is what we're getting growing up in the home, the first years of our lives, where we're highly receptive and soaking it all up from our domestic environment. We're learning how to do things by basically watching other people do them and memorizing their movements and then imitating their movements. So it's a period of learning and some memory, using our memory. Although memory is really, both the province of the 10th and 9th spheres. Then the 8th sphere is similar in some respects to the 9th sphere, whereas the 9th sphere is about the domestic consciousness, the domestic life. The 8th sphere is about the public life. So this is what you get when you go out into public. You start school, you start Little League, or you go to church, and you're in contact with people, especially the institutions and the establishment, the preachers and the teachers, and then also like the media and, anybody who's claiming expertise, the expert opinion, and they give you the conventional wisdom. They tell you what you're supposed to believe, and to the extent that you do believe it, the wheels are kind of greased for you. And if you believe what they tell you to believe, life becomes a lot easier, and you get appointed to, you get into all the schools you want to get into, and then you get through the schools, and you get the job that, maybe it's not, you don't become like one of the gatekeepers, but you're at least like the assistant gatekeeper. So, your life becomes much easier to the extent that you buy into the belief systems and rationalize the belief systems offered here by the experts and by the establishment. So, the 8th sphere is about belief systems and rational, logical thinking. Now the 7th sphere, where the 8th sphere is about the real world, the 7th sphere is about the imaginary world. So the 7th sphere is for people who, sniff the 8th sphere and they smell a rat. They can't, their own experience doesn't really allow them to believe everything that they've been told here at the 8th sphere. There's something wrong. Something in the 8th sphere doesn't add up. And they move over to the 7th sphere, and they imagine a different world from the real world, where things actually did add up. And they use the qualities, the faculties of the seventh sphere, one being imagination, also intuition and inspiration, our creativity, the spark of our creativity, and our, related to that, our ability to take disparate things and put them together into harmonious groupings. And so the person that's operating at the seventh sphere ends up proposing alternatives to the eighth sphere, usually in the form of creativity, creative products or intellectual property, paintings or songs or poems, or also inventions. People invent machines in order to kind of deal with some of the weaknesses here that are presented by the eighth sphere. Okay, then also the seventh sphere gives us through the inspiration, gives us the impetus to get started on our upward journey to the more spiritual aspects of our existence. And the sixth sphere is the beginning of that. This is really our center. This is where we are. But this is our free will faculty. Six is our free will faculty, our ability to pay attention and to make decisions. Our attention, unfortunately, is directed down the tree. So attention is a vector. It's got a direction, and we are paying attention to all of the ways that we used to do things, and where we learned them growing up in the home. And so it's not really attended to our spiritual growth, but it's really looking backwards into the past, into our comfort zones. So the other aspect of free will is our ability to make decisions. So one of the first decisions we make on the spiritual path is to take our attention and redirect it, move it away from looking downward on the tree and move it upward. So it's now facing upward on the tree. Problem is that this is a fairly difficult endeavor, because these areas aren't really particularly well developed in our lives. And so we end up kind of like staring into the unknown when we're paying attention to the higher parts of the tree, because we don't really know much about the higher parts of the tree. So that requires a lot of courage in order to overcome that. But all we have to do is just do it, just stand in the face of fear. We know we're going to be scared, but just do it anyway. And that leads to success at the sixth sphere. And then we ensure further success by tuning into the higher spheres to start with 5 and 4, which kind of work together. 4 is really like our cosmologies, our holy books, our theories of everything, grand unified theories, things, books or other media that purport to describe how everything in the universe works. A holistic theory, a holistic system about how things really work. And this is arrived at through long, generations-long periods of observation, investigation, examination, experience, experimentation, measurement. And these things are all go together, and really, like, meditation and any other form of intuition, any other form of knowing, and then we put that all together, and that kind of adds up to the universal law. Now, it doesn't mean that it's right, but it means that it's more right than this, because this is just a decree. This is the law because I said so. And this is the law because that's what I've observed. And and then the law transfers over here to the fifth sphere, which is really like the enforcement of the law. You could think of it as the law of karma. As you sow, so shall you reap. And what comes around goes around. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So you can think of there being like a mirror right here, and we act in our lives and we get immediate feedback to what we did. Karma can really be thought of as being calibrated according to waste, violence, and violation. And so when we act, if our act is violent or wasteful, we get that feedback. And so we can begin to start fine-tuning our actions to actually eliminate the karma from our actions. So we can learn how to act in a non-violent manner and in a non-wasteful manner through the teacher of karma. Now, the fourth sphere also has to do with universal love and universal language. So it's really our universal characteristics. And the universal love is like giving, seeking nothing in return, and being able to love your enemies. Now, the psychic powers are where the abyss is. This is our aspect of psychic powers, which really have two: psychic receptivity, which is our ability to tune into and recognize omens, and then also psychic heat, which is our ability to actually act upon those omens once we do recognize them. So they come in a sequence. You can't really go to the psychic heat until you've developed the psychic receptivity. You know, the psychic heat doesn't do you any good if you don't recognize the omens in the first place. So you have to have the receptivity to be able to recognize the omens, and then you have to have the courage to be able to act upon the omens. Okay, then, and these are seen in the abyss as really like eclipses. So in order to have the receptivity, you have to block out the sun, which is represented by the sixth sphere. And in order to have the courage or the heat to act upon the omens, you have to be able to block out the moon, which is represented by the ninth sphere, the cooling aspects of the moon. Okay, then 3, 2, and 1 here are our divine aspects within: omnipotence, all-powerful; omniscience, all-knowing or wisdom; and omnipresence, all-present, all at once, eternally. We approach this through sound synchronization processes. We approach this by kind of breaking through the sound barrier to light, and through coherent light and seeing, intuition, insight. And then the first sphere is our unifying aspect, like the ether that underlies everything. Everything is underlies at our deepest center. The thing that underlies us is exactly the same thing that underlies you and everything else. And so it's a unifying factor. When we all get to our deepest center, we find that we're all going to the same place. And then the zero above the tree is really like nothingness or mystery. Has to do with inner peace, but the inner peace is coming from just the recognition that we are, in the realm of the Creator, and that whatever happens is exactly what's supposed to happen. So we don't need to be really worried about it. We're under the, hand of God. And this part, the zero part of the tree, is part of God, but it is not part of the universe. So it's the part of the universe that God reserves for itself. Now, those are the 12 aspects of the tree. Now, that's kind of like the beginner's lesson. Now, to get a little bit more advanced, we kind of break into my model, which is to take the whole tree and to superimpose it on each one of the spheres. So we break down the 10th sphere into its 12 parts. We break down the 9th sphere into its 12 parts, and so on, for a total of 144 different parts. And those parts I refer to as fractal faculties, or stages of life. And those stages are not chronological stages, but they're dramatic stages. So these are listing of 144 different stages that we go through on our spiritual path, or really just our path in life. And if you'd like me to send you that list for free, just click the link below in the description, and I'll send it right out to you. It'll help because it'll kind of bridge the gap between the more basic studies of the 12 spheres and the more advanced studies of the 144 mini spheres. And it will help you to kind of keep score at home, to be able to cross-reference things that I say with maybe things I said a week ago when I did a different one. Because every day I come on here and I go through one of those 144 stages. So for example, today I'm going to be doing number 61, what happens when we dream. And if we look at the diagram here, what we're talking about with number 61 is we're talking about the 10th fractal of the 5th sphere. So we're here at the bottom of the 5th sphere. The 5th sphere is about the enforcement of the law, is about karma, it's about waste, eliminating waste, eliminating violence. And the 10th sphere is about the health of our body. It's about instinct, fight or flight, survival. And so we're talking about an aspect of that 10th sphere survival that's within this 5th sphere, karma, enforcement of the law, tuning into our karma and minimizing our karma. So those are the two aspects that are appearing here with the stage number 61, which is called bedroom arts or dream work. Stage number 61 is about learning to harness the power of our dreams. Our thinking and memory are aspects of our consciousness that cannot operate indefinitely. When we run out of nerve energy, we must sleep in order to recharge and rewind. For non-REM, thinking and memory are both rewinding, non-REM sleep. But the memory is less complex than thinking, so it rewinds more quickly. So once the memory rewinds, we move into the REM state, the dreaming state, where thinking is rewinding and memory is done rewinding and now just idling. So the dream purpose is to prevent the over corrections or over rewinding of the memory. Dreams are simply a replay of experiences, and they cannot satisfy. Memory and memory storage in dreams are operating normally or idling, but not in contact with the outside world. So the only thing they really have to work with are internal sensations. Because we have our eyes closed and our senses are directed inward. When we sleep, I'm sorry. So in dreaming, memory only responds to internal sensations and circulating memory. When we sleep, or when we meditate, our mind turns inward across a space-time boundary to counter space. Everything flips, and the consciousness perceives our waking thoughts and memories and experiences as through a dream. Through dreams, the brain sorts and files away those thoughts and images picked up throughout the day. They get placed into memory. Falling into REM sleep is analogous to our consciousness accelerating beyond the speed of light into 3D time. Dreaming is an undirected stream of imagery and thoughts. Each dream is a succession of different themes. The dream is constructed from themes. Survival is the basic theme of a dream, and the themes are put into the experiences that we had from the day. The landscape or scene expresses either physiological problems or repressed psychological content already in the system and elaborated with the details from memory, from the storage of memory by association. Elaborated into dreams. The discontinuity between dreams is masked because the setting and characters are carried forward from one dream to another. Before sleep, we can impress upon the circulating memory that I must remember my dreams upon waking. If we can awake ourselves to the fact that we are dreaming during our dreams, then we can learn to control the dream. We can actually live our dreams. Just making the attempt to retain the dream information with significant details is enough to start to push our consciousness over into the unconscious side, building a bridge between the conscious and unconscious. Wake up to the fact that we're dreaming or dead. Dreaming is a mini death. We go to the same place. Through dreams, then, we can approach dealing with the death state. Dreaming is how a single mind can experience itself as separate beings. Everything in the dream is me. I am the God of my dream characters and landscapes and settings. The characters reflect an aspect of me, so it makes sense when they speak my thoughts. Ask, what is it about that dream character's behavior that I like or dislike? Reality is just one big dream we are all sharing. We dream our own universes. Dreams are trivial in nature. They are usually unpleasant, but they are accepted matter-of-factly. Dreams can tell us about things in our future and past, what we have been doing, thinking, or feeling recently. Sigmund's fraud. We are not going to figure out our dreams using symbolism. Why would we use symbols to hide the meaning from ourselves? Okay, that's number 61, Bedroom Arts. And that is the 10th fractal of the 5th sphere. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. And please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. You can also click the link in the description to get my free copy of the 144 of the list of the 144 fractal faculties annotated. And you can donate directly to me using Cash App or Venmo, listed in the description. Otherwise, please have a beautiful weekend and stay tuned for another video on the same list. Another one of the 144 fractal faculties will be presented tomorrow. So I'd like to see you there, and I'll see you later.